Alright, cool. So it's been a long time since I give you guys a breakdown video. So today I'm gonna give you guys a breakdown of a trade that I took this morning that I actually shared for free inside our free Telegram. So if you guys are not inside the free Telegram before we start this video, I do recommend you guys to click the link down below and join our free Telegram where I'm sending out free analysis and free signals almost every single day as well. Our VIP is completely for free. So if you guys want access to our VIP channel as well, you guys can just simply click the link down below. So I'm gonna give you guys the breakdown of the trade that I sent out this morning here inside the free Telegram. This morning we took a gold trade. Gold trade here, they played out for over a 104 risk to reward. Yesterday we basically caught a very similar trade, which was somewhere around this area. We basically entered the market from this point here. We exit out the market here. We got stopped at a break even, and then notice how price session just end up dropping all the way down, which would have hit another 1 or 3 risk to reward. So basically yesterday trade we did secure over take profit 2. Our stop loss got hit at break even, and then obviously the trade did end up happening. This morning we caught a very similar trade, which this morning I did end up making over $7,245. You guys can see. Let me just make sure that the OBS show you guys the profit. But this is the profit that I end up making this morning in our account, which is sitting at $7,245, which is amazing. I'm also going to show you guys the results of every single member that did end up taking this trade, right? So if you guys go here inside our free Telegram, you can see one of our members did end up making over $1,200 with this trade. We have a member over here making probably over $100 in profits. We have another member here that did end up bringing over $770. We have this member, giving us a good compliment. We have this one here making over $40. This other trader here bringing in over $1.7 thousand in profit. We have another trader here that brought in over $100. This trader here brought $23. This trader over here with his FTMO brought over $2,700. So every single trade that I sent out here is completely for free. So if you guys want access, again, click the link down below. But let's go over the trade that I took this morning, which as you guys can see did end up hitting our final take profits for 620 pips. So we had two entry. We had one at 40.74, which was 300 pips at a 1 and 3 risk to reward, and we also had another one at 40.76, which played out for 320 pips, which was over a 1 of 4 risk to reward. Now, if we click the signal this morning was sent out at 8:39 in the morning. You guys can see the entry. It was called out as a sell limit. So we had two entry, again, 40.74 and 40.76. Going up here, this was the analysis that I sent out this morning, which was at 8:36, right? Now, the initial plan of today was mainly focused on looking for buy positions. So I'm going to give you guys the analysis of why I was looking for buys and why I was looking for sells. Now, before I show you guys this, right, let's go all the way back here to the VIP channel, which was yesterday trade, like I was explaining to you guys. We did end up hitting take profit 2 for over 420 pips. So we had two entry, again, 40.75 and 40.77. So going here inside the VIP, this was basically the trade that we took yesterday, which did play out basic, right? Yesterday we were waiting for price session to technically give us a breakout towards either the up or towards the downside, but we did manage to catch a trade inside the ranges, right? And inside the range, we did end up hitting over take profit 2. Again, we got stopped at a break even, and then this morning, or actually yesterday during the Asian session, I told everyone to set the limit again. But price session was pretty slow this Asian session of yesterday, and we just simply waited for price session to actually give us a pullback towards these levels, right? So let's go back here into the VIP. Well, technically it's the same way as the free Telegram. Today I sent out the analysis, right? Here's what I sent out. I'm like, hey, today I'm watching two setups. I'm looking for a buy limit around 40-ish, and I'm also looking for a sell limit around 40.75. I also told them that I'm gonna be buying the market now as soon as I send out this analysis, right? But let's go over a bigger picture, and I'm going to explain to you guys why I was looking for both of these setups today. So we're going to start off from a higher time frame perspective, which is the weekly time frame, right? I'm just going to show you guys the weekly structure. So going over with the weekly structure, you guys can clearly see that obviously gold has been in a very nice bullish run, right? And obviously whenever price sessions are creating new highs, there has to be a pullback, and that pullback is always going to form a higher low, right? Whenever this is an uptrend. So it's very simple, basic trading. So trading, we have this high and then we have a higher low. Whenever price action obviously in the uptrend respects a higher low, we're building up bullish foundations, right? So technically, if you guys look at it from a weekly time frame perspective, notice how price action is coming back towards this left side. This left side right here, these are the candles that I like to call the imbalance candle or the bullish fair value gap candle, which is pretty much where price action has to come back and fill up this entire imbalances, right? So if we come back here towards the weekly time frame, we can see that price action came back to retest this exact candle here. And notice how we perfectly swept them out. We got buyers into the market 1 week, and then the second week we did see some very nice bullish push towards the upside, right? Now, coming here towards the daily time frame, right? I want you guys to understand this entire daily structure shift. So we understand that 1 week we were very bullish, and then we had another week that we were bearish, right? Now, the weekly time frame, like I told you guys, if price action forms a higher low and continues respecting these higher lows, obviously the trend, it continues to be valid, right? The only way that this bullish trend over here wouldn't be valid would simply be if price action breaks under the low, which is going to be considered as a break of structure, and we actually close underneath these lows. That will be the only way that price action doesn't respect this entire bullish structure, right? Now, coming back here towards the weekly structure, we can clearly see how price action had the retracement, respected this entire candle here. We closed above it. We had another weak candle, which was bullish, and then we have the third weak candle, which was also bullish, right? Now, I want you guys to focus on these entire lows. We have one lows here, we have another higher low, a higher low, and another higher low. So technically, if you guys go towards the daily time frame, you can see how price action perfectly created a nice higher low structure. So we had this high, we have the higher low, we have the high, and now we have a new higher low. Very simple, right? Now, I want you guys to also focus on the left side structure, right? Every time the price action has a pullback, right? This is something that I do teach very detailed inside my bootcamp, is pretty much understanding the market structure, right? Because market structure does play a very huge part when it comes into trading. Because if you guys really need to understand what is market structure, what is going on during those in type of pullbacks, right? So obviously, whenever price action is creating the higher highs and higher lows, right, we are building new higher highs and higher lows, which is either areas of demand where buyers are pretty much stepping into the markets, right? And inside the demand zone, you guys are always going to find imbalanced candles, and you guys are always going to start finding around, bullish, quote, in bullish fair value gap candles, right? Or zones, right? Now, whenever price action starts having retracement, the same scenario, right? We start creating lower lows and lower highs, which price action is kind of breaking out of the structure. But whenever price action is breaking out of the structure to retest a major key level, this is where we have to really understand what is going on in this leg, because this leg already happened, right? This leg over here already happened. Now we have this left leg or this right leg over here now starting a new pattern. We broke underneath all of this entire structure, which at one point it was bullish. So if I show you guys the example here in the charts, you guys can see that this was all bullish, creating higher highs and higher lows until we started creating, new lows, lower highs, lows, and then we have another lower high here, right? Now, whenever price action starts creating these lows and lower high structure, right, or whenever price action is having a pullback, you got to keep this in mind. Everything that is going on in a bullish structure, the bearish structure is also building the same, meaning that there's going to be areas of supplies and as well areas of bearish fair value gap or imbalances, right, where price action always has to come back to fill up to obviously make sure that the trend is still healthy, right? Now, keep this in mind. Everything that happens on a higher time frame is always going to be stronger than what happens on a lower time frame, right? So always keep that in mind. So in this case over here, obviously from a bullish structure, we are simply still bullish on the weekly time frame. I would say that we're kind of like, I would say 60-70% still bullish due to the fact that we're still holding above all of these entire lows. Again, worst case, if price action does manage to close underneath here, then we no longer are in a bullish market. There is a potential of market not having a shift of structure from a bullish market to a bearish market. Now, we understand that already, right? So we kind of come down here towards a lower time frame. I want you guys to pretty much picture this. We had a very deep retracement, right? This was a deep retracement that we had earlier this week. Or let's actually go from the daily time frame. This was what's happening from last week. Last week, we did form this new lows, right? Which was simply retesting previous demand structure. And if you guys look left, we have all of this entire bullish fair value gap candle, which price action came back and perfectly respected it, right? Now, notice how price action, once we came back towards this level, we did see some buyers step in, and we also did see some sellers. Until last week here, Monday, we had a break of structure, meaning that price action finally broke out of this entire structure right over here, right? And then notice how we had a very nice bullish imbalance candle here. So a good way to explain to you guys how an imbalance candle works is simply think about it like a magnet, right? So think about it that we have a big push towards this upside, And that means that down over here, there's still orders that are pending, right? So whenever there's a big push towards these upside, there needs to be an order so to confirm that the trend is still valid, right? So an imbalance can look something like this, or it can look just like a candle like this. And then you guys will always see that price session is going to start ranging a little bit until we have another pullback. And then the pullback is simply the retest of this entire imbalance, right? Now, if you guys check this out, last week we had the push, imbalance candle here, and then price action had a retracement. Notice how we perfectly respected here. We had a bullish push towards the upside, but again, this is where I want you guys to go always in details. Market structure is very important because again, if you guys look at it from a 1 hour perspective, you guys can see that this imbalance push towards this upside, we were forming higher highs and higher lows. But if you guys look towards here on the left side, right, if you guys go back here towards the daily time frame, right, yes, we are bullish because we are still creating all of these new highs, but this pullback down here is now building a new structure, and that new structure here is going to be all of these new lower lows, lower high, which obviously you guys are going to find supply zones, and you guys are also going to find bearish fair value gaps, which is going to give you guys ideas where the market can start having a pullback, right? So that's exactly what we did last week. Last week I actually had a sell limit placed around 20, I believe it was 2034. Let's go back here in the VIP. It was an actually very nice trade that I took last week. Let's go all the way back up here. I believe it was on Thursday that I took a very nice sell. Let's go, where was it? It was right here. So this was a sell limit that I actually caught out, right? So this is what I told him. Hey, there's a potential sell zone around 42.38, 42.40. I'll keep an eye if price action can give us a pullback. And that's exactly the limit that we called out this morning, or the limit that we called out last week, which played out amazing. As you guys can see, hit over 475 pips, which was a 1-3 risk to reward. And then this was the chart analysis, which price action basically gave us a pullback towards an area of supply, which is somewhere between these levels, right? So again, this is why it's very important for you guys to understand market structure, because always whenever market structure starts having a shift to structure, they're always going to leave orders where price action still needs to get filled up, right? So in this case, we filled up a bear structure here, and notice that we had another pullback. Once we had the pullback, we had a very deep pullback towards this entire imbalance. Yes, on Thursday or Friday, we did see some bullish movement towards the upside. But now we're going to focus on how price action had a broken structure underneath all of these entire lows, which at one point it was areas of support, and price action had a pullback towards this level, and what we're holding underneath, we're obviously holding these levels now as areas of resistance. So just by seeing this entire structure and price action respecting of supply zone from a higher time frame, yes, we can see that obviously we are in a bearish market in this case, right? Again, keep in mind, every single time frame has different trend. In this trend over here on the intraday structure, we are bearish, but on a higher time frame, we are still bullish. Again, why we're so bullish? Due to the fact that we're still holding above all of these entire lows. So it's very simple. All you guys got to do is just really go down into details, and you guys will start noticing all of these entire patterns, right? Now, since we noticed that price action had the broken structure, we came back to retest. Yes, we respected some bullish fair value gaps around these levels here, which price action had a push towards the upside. But notice how overall we were still maintaining underneath the intraday structure zones, right? So in this case over here is going to be the 4110, which price action perfectly obviously created an area of resistance, and we started seeing some nice sell-off, right? Now, again, going back into yesterday market structure. Yesterday, I basically broke down or gave them the analysis. Let's go all the way from yesterday. Yesterday, I gave them the analysis that gold was obviously in a range, and the only way that I was going to be entering a trade was either we wait for price action to give us a break of structure above these highs here so that we can give buy an opportunity, because again, we are respecting bullish structure, or if price action does break underneath these lows over here, then we can look for sales opportunity. Again, the reason why we're looking for sales here is, first of all, we are bearish, and we are trading underneath this entire intraday structure. All of this is from an intraday time frame structure, not from a higher time frame structure. Now, notice what happened yesterday. Yes, we were ranging until we finally had the sell towards the downside. So we go back here towards yesterday. I did call out a sell limit yesterday. This was November. Yeah, yesterday I called out sell limit, which as you guys can see, it did end up hitting take profit too, which it did played out very nice. It was inside the range, but unfortunately we did get stopped out of break even, which price action later on started having this nice move. Now, this nice move over here, what they would leave here, I want you guys to check this out from the 30-minute time frame. We have a very nice area of supply, and then we also have this broken structure, right? So remember how I like to tell you guys, whenever price action is in a trend, and we have the break of structure, we're always going to come back and retest a few things. We're going to retest the broken structure, we're going to retest the bearish fair value gap. And the only way that price action, right, the bearish fair value gap, you guys can also use it as supply zones. And the only way that price action will respect is obviously having the pullback. And that's exactly why I like to trade with limits. Because these are here already are my confirmations. This is part of my 5 steps, right? My 5 steps is something that I do teach inside the bootcamp. So obviously, if you guys want access to the 5 steps, just comment down the word bootcamp and I will give you guys access to those 5 steps, right? But the 5 steps, everything has to align. In this case over here, we did align with many things, right? We are bearish. We are trading underneath this entire intraday structure. We had the break of structure. We had marked up a supply zone and a bearish fair value gap zone. All we needed to do is just simply place the limit and just let probability do the things, right? Now, that was the sell trade that I had marked up from this morning. Now, going into the bullish structure, right? What do we notice from the bullish? Hey, look, price action came back towards this exact demand zone. We respected this demand zone. What do we notice? If you guys go down towards a lower time frame, we notice that price action started having a shift of structure. So again, we went from creating all of this entire bearish structure to lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, right? We respected demand. What do we notice? Boom, a break of structure. We broke out of this entire bearish structure. You guys go back here towards the 30-minute or 15-minute time frame. What do you guys notice that we have here? We have a bullish fair value gap zone above this entire bullish fair, or above this entire bullish break of structure. Very simple. So we respected the demand zone from a higher time frame. We had a broken structure right over here, and we also had a bullish fair value gap that still needed to come back and retest. Yes, price action broke structure. We came back. I missed my buy limit. So this is exactly, if you guys go back here to the Telegram, this is where I told them, hey, I'm looking for a buy position now. Yesterday, we saw a strong bearish push momentum that broke underneath, or we can go back here. After yesterday, gold tapped into an H1 demand zone around the 4,000s, perfectly rejected, had a push of break of structure above 40.25, and also had a fair value gap. I was waiting for price to break trace into that area so they can activate our buy limit, and then the second entry, I will be taking bites now. But as soon as I sent out the message, price was already above these levels here, so there was no point. There was not good risk to reward for me to enter this buy position, right? But notice how perfectly we did respected everything that we wanted to see. We got the respect of the demand zone, the break of structure, the pullback towards this level. Unfortunately, I never activated my limit, which was going to be around the 40.25, right? If you go back here to go back here towards Telegram, you guys can see that I had the level marked up at 40.25. So imagine if I did have the entry, 40.25. That right there would have been a sniper entry, and we would have caught a beautiful buy position as well. So 40.25 would have simply been my entry. So something like this, and then my stop loss would have been 40.15. So something like this underneath that structure. 40.15, and then our take profit back at these highs. This also would have been a nice 1 to 3 risk to reward immediately. But unfortunately, we missed this trade. But again, the probability, everything aligned with the 5 steps. So same thing with the sell stops. The sell limit aligned with the 5 steps, and that is the main reason why we took it. So very simple. All we simply took the trade was just aligning supply zones and demand zone and just following the simple 5 steps. So that's pretty much the trade that we took this morning. I did call out this trade completely for free inside the free Telegram, which they played out amazing for over 620 pips. So that is pretty much the trade that we took this morning. If you guys have any question, feel free to always comment down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.